This section heading is called Executing a MapReduce Program. So what we're going to do in this section is we're going to take a look at essentially Hadoop's Hello World. That is to run a word count program in MapReduce. We're going to do that, and we're also going to see how we can get help with Hadoop commands. Now the first thing I'm having you do within the lab is to list the content within 3 directories. So we're doing this for 2 reasons. 1, we want to see that our file system is structured like a tree, and 2, we want to see the files that we're going to use or provide as input to our word count program. So over here we can see that we're listing the content of our home directory, that's what we're currently in, and then a subdirectory that's off of home directory is lab1, and then the content within lab1 is the input directory, and then what's in the input directory are 3 books. So now we're going to switch gears for a moment. We're going to take a look and see how we can get help with the Hadoop commands. So just like most applications or utilities, you can try not completing the command syntax, and you're going to see that works right here. So if we don't complete the command syntax, we see some second level commands that helps us to lead how to complete the syntax. So now most of your applications or utilities, they're all going to follow the same kind of suit. In order to get help, it'll either be like a -h, --help, -help, something along those lines. And with this command here, it's no different. It's going to be the -help. So now when we formatted our file system, we did so using Java, right? And in doing so, we also created this thing that's known as a namespace. So a namespace limits what you can see, and what we can't see is the underlying files on the local file system. So it's actually limiting what we can see to only the files that are going to be within Hdfs. So if we talk about what the namespace is in terms of Hdfs, just think of all the tree structures or the files that are structured like a tree inside of the file system within Hdfs. So now the way that we're going to interact with that file system in this instance right here is we're going to run a generic file system user client. So now in order to get help to see what command options are available using that client, we're going to use the -help once again. So when you look at the command options that you can use, what you're going to notice is that these commands are almost identical to the old Unix commands. You can see over here you've got the move, mv, copy, rm, and then you'll see like make directory, cat, and all the whole list of others. So we've already executed a lot of those old Unix commands in previous sections of this lab. So now the first thing that we're going to do now is we're going to take a look and see how the tree is structured within Hdfs. So we're going to do an ls, and we're going to start with root. So when we list the content of root, we only see one directory, the temp directory. So this is where your daemons are going to store data, if they're storing any, by default. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to see how we can make a directory inside of Hdfs. So we're going to do an mkdir. The directory we're going to make is the input directory. So once we make the directory, we want to verify that it's actually there. So we're going to list the content of the directory that we're currently in. So the directory that we're currently in is the user support directory. That's kind of like our home directory. And then inside of there, we've got the input directory. Down here, it's a little confusing because it's actually displaying the absolute path. Alright, so now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to see how we can copy files from the local file system into Hdfs. So we're going to do this using the put command. So we're going to put, and what we're going to put are the files that we want to run our word count program against, and those are in the input directory. Input, and then inside of there we have the 3 books. So we're going to copy all of those in, and we're going to copy them into the input directory in Hdfs. So now we want to verify that those files are actually there. So we'll list the content of the input directory, and then you'll see those 3 books. Okay, so now the way that we're going to run our word count program against these books is essentially we're going to use an examples jar that comes with this Hadoop installation. This examples jar is located inside of the home directory. So what we're going to do is we're going to first list the content within the home directory to actually see that jar. So it's Hadoop, and then it's Hadoop, let's just go right here, and then you'll see examples jar. Now the way that we're going to see the examples within this examples jar is we're not going to complete kind of like the syntax again, and then this is going to spit out a list of examples that we can use with this jar file. So we're going to type Hadoop second level command jar, and then we need to provide the path to this examples jar. So this is down user and then local and then Hadoop, and then it's Hadoop examples jar. So we'll execute this, and then what you're going to find is you're going to see the names for the examples that you can run, and then a description of the example. So for example here it's word count, and then what you're doing with it is what this example is going to do is it's a MapReduce program that counts words in input files, and we have our input files, which is 3 books. So now I'm going to hit the up arrow key, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify the example that we want to run, which is word count, and then we have to supply the input file, which is this is the input directory, and the files within there are going to be run the word count against, and then this directory here cannot exist, so we have to allow Hadoop to actually create it, so the output directory. So this is where it's going to write the output results. So once these results complete, what we're going to do is we're going to list the content and see the files within the output directory. So we're going to do a Hadoop, and then I'll hit the up arrow key here a few times, and we want to see now output. So here are the files that are produced. We've got a success file. This lets us know that the program successfully completed. We have a logs directory in case we want to investigate anything within there. And then we have our output file. So this is the output of the reducer. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a look and see that the results successfully got stored within that file. So now we're going to do Hadoop FS, and we're going to cat that file. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply just going to copy this right here. One more time. And we're good.